Good morning, Rockstars, and welcome back to String and Story. My name is HollyAnne Knight, and it is my job to guide you to quilt with confidence. Happy New Year, and welcome to the first episode of the Quilting Rockstars here in the new year. Now, if you've been tuning in, you may have noticed I'm here by myself. Darcy is going to appear more sporadically this year, just as their family schedule has changed around a little bit. But don't worry, you'll still get to see her some of the time during these episodes. Today, we are actually going to work on this penguin block that is here behind me. This is part of our new endangered species block of the month that we are doing here at String and Story. I'll talk about it as we're going along, but just wanted to go ahead and set that up. If you're part of the endangered species BOM and you are here and you are able, sew along with me, all right? Let's get my phone plugged in. Now, the other thing before we get started that I always forget to say, and I just have to remind y'all, don't forget to like this video and hit subscribe. It's going to make it easier for you to find these videos in the future. It's going to make it easier for other Quilting Rockstars to find this platform as well. Okay? All right, let's see. I've got my pattern piece here. We need to dig my colors back out. I think they are all floating around over here. And we're going to get started on this little block. Let's see, it looks like I've done up through number 5. And I need to figure out where I have tucked my key. Here we go. If you are here with me live, do say hi in the chat. I would love to greet you and chat with you. All right, so I'm going to look on here. Let's see, number 6 is black. Perfect. It's not a very big piece of black, so it'll be easy to... Oh, hang on. I got to grab my trash can. Hey, Selwyn, happy 2023. Brought my trash can over here because I was shipping orders and tossing you those little sticky bits from labels and whatnot in there. But we're going to need that. Okay. Who else is here? Alicia, Barbara, Karen, Jesse, Rivka. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, it is nice to be back together, y'all. It is nice. The kids started back to school today. If you paid very careful attention to my Instagram stories earlier this week, that may give you some pause because you might remember that I posted that we went to the Tennessee Aquarium because it was the last day of Christmas break. Because I thought they started back yesterday. And I found out at 7 p.m. Tuesday night that they actually were starting back today and that I had misread the calendar. So, that was a fun little surprise. So anyway, Amy, one of our lovely babysitters, some of y'all have met Amy. She also works in the shop. I was able to come yesterday. And today I was like, finally, the kids are going back to school. This is wonderful. And our bus was an hour late this morning. John ended up driving the kids to school because I didn't want them to miss an hour of school riding on the bus, to finish the route. It was wild. All right. Carolyn, hello, Michelle, Valerie, Michelle, love. And Selwyn, you got your flight for QuiltCon. That is incredible. I'm so excited. I was just talking to Laurel. Some of y'all will know from, if you've engaged with her in our emails. And she's coming for QuiltCon. And we were just talking this morning about her flights. So exciting. Okay. 7 light pink. All right. I'm like, let me pay attention. Yeah, so I am working today on, as I mentioned, this penguin block behind me. This is the first block in our block of the month this year. If you signed up last month, you already got this thread box as well. Okay, so if you signed up early in the month, some of y'all are still waiting because I am waiting on another shipment from Orathel, but it will be coming soon. And then if you sign up now, you'll actually start with the January box is that right? No, you'll still start with the December box because I was going to say for simplicity's sake. So you'll be starting with the black box, depending on which track you sign up for. And, thus with this pattern. So we worked on this at the end of our time together during band camp a couple of weeks ago. And I thought it would be fun to kind of pick it back up, because I didn't get to really show whole pieces coming together. Since it's a little bit fiddly, it takes a minute. Yeah? No snow in Denver. Yes, we need no snow in Denver at the end of February so you can come, Selwyn. Absolutely. Hello, Melanie. Hey, Marie. Good to see y'all. All right, 7, 8. Honestly, keeping track of what number you're on is one of the hardest bits of this. weirdly enough. 7. So I kind of use a combination of how I position my hands and my light box to get my fabric in the right place. Okay. This is the eye of one of the penguins. So this is one of the hardest sections of this block. And of course, you know, twice now I've done it, worked on it on live video because I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. You will notice down in the, actually no, before we get to that, I'm going to get to that in a minute. I want to know what was the best part of your holidays and what is your, if you have one, big goal for 2023? That's what I want to know about. Let's start with that. And I'll give you all the rundown on the caption of this video in a little while. Hey, Jan. I think the highlight of my holiday was getting to spend a lot of time with my kids, which was just lovely. We got to hike. We did not get to camp. We were hoping to camp. It was too cold. It was 24 degrees overnight in Savannah. Like, what? So we did not get to camp. We were going to go right after Christmas. Just didn't work out. But we did get to do quite a bit of hiking. As you know, I got to go to the aquarium with them. We just did a lot of fun things together over the holidays. We went bouldering one day. Things, that just normally I don't get the opportunity to do because I'm working. And so I didn't take all of Christmas break off. I took part of Christmas break off because, we had orders to get out. But I would work a day or two, take a day or two. And it was really nice. It was really, really nice. So I think that was my favorite part. Obviously, I've got some big goals for String and Story in 2023. And then my 2 big personal goals are 20,000 minutes of exercise using my Peloton app, which will include at least 1, hopefully 2 half marathons. And then I want to read 52 books. I did both of those things last year, and I want to repeat them because I found them to be really satisfying goals. So yeah, what about y'all? Let's see. Kara says, I finished penguins last night. I started this in 2021. Still need to figure out sashing and border and buy fabric to finish it. It's my favorite BOM. Karen, I agree. And I told myself, I swore left, right, and center when I announced that we were going to do this block of the month. I was like, I'm not going to make the blocks again. I already did that. And I don't know if I'll stick to it all the way through. We'll see. But right now I have Kate Brennan's sampler here. And I'm like, I want a sampler because I've got, my little minis that I made and quilted. But I want a sampler too. I was nervous the first time I pieced them that the sampler would be too thick. But let me, here. I'm going to grab Kate's sampler. But I have hers here right now. And I got to quilt hers. Oof, that is too tight of a fit. But it's honestly really snuggly. And look how lovely it is. It's a good size. It's really cool looking. So yeah, I have arrived at, let me go back up one. That is a safer place for it. I've arrived at I want one too. I will see if I'm very faithful in getting it done in a single year or if it takes me longer than that. I'm at least going to get started, We'll go from there. One piece at a time, right? Okay, let's see. What are all these goals? Jan is pursuing inner peace. Love that. Good morning, Susan. Alicia says, I had peace and quiet over Christmas. I want to sew and work on projects. Yes. Jan says, looks like you had a lot of fun with your kids. We're in Middle Tennessee and the aquarium is amazing. I love the Tennessee Aquarium. I have been a member there off and on for over a decade now. I used money that I had earned nannying before I went to college to get a membership my freshman year. And I was a member all the way through college. And now we'll be a member for a year or two and then it'll lapse for a year or two and then we'll pick it back up again. Because especially with a family of 4, if we're going to go buy tickets, we might as well just get the membership. And I love it. I just love that. Let's see. Someone says highlight was having 16 for New Year's Day brunch. Goal is to quilt some of the bazillion tops I have on the log room. I love that Selwyn. She said I made a drawstring bag for a white elephant gift and it was a big hit. That's amazing, Jessie. And Jan says the blocks don't look necessarily hard, but time and patience. Not sure I'm up for that. They really aren't very hard. And what I like about foundation paper piecing, I was actually thinking about this a lot this morning. Because, you know, we're doing this and I was already peeking at block of the months we may do next year. And the ones that kept catching my attention are also foundation paper piecing. And I was like, what is it about this that I like so much? And I think an enormous part of what I like about it is that it's really easy to pick up and put down. And because it doesn't require a lot of like prep cutting, you can kind of just jump in with both feet and start seeing progress right away. So it's the kind of thing that you can just be like, all right, I got like 15 minutes. I'm going to put a couple of pieces on here. It's kind of like doing a puzzle. It's a lot like doing a puzzle that you can just do a little bit, walk away, come back when you have a chance. And it's gonna be there doing its thing, coming together, you know. Marie says, my goal for this year is to declutter the whole house, starting with my sewing room. Love that. Jessie says, my goal is completing a Tough Mudder. That's amazing. And improving sewing skills. You're well on your way with that, Jessie. You're well on your way. Alicia says, goals are getting on track health-wise and financially. I love that, Alicia. Those are good goals. Kellen says, goal this year is to learn how to free motion quilt on my new long arm. Yes. Barbara says, I can't wait to get my fabric to start these blocks. I can't wait for you to get your fabric to start these blocks. That's what I was working on right up until this. We, actually, let me give y'all an update on that. We have here the fabric for a couple dozen kits, I think. I'm looking at all my colors to see if that is true. I have an order of over 100 bolts on the way. So my recommendation, if you are waiting on fabric from me, is either to make some of those economy blocks or to pull some scraps from your stash and just practice your foundation paper piecing skills while you wait. Because we are going to cut and get this all out as fast as we can. It is also still going to be a second, just because it's a ton of fabric. And some of it is having to make its way to us. So yes, I'm very excited about it. We will be cutting and folding and labeling all day today and shipping out what we can and picking back up again tomorrow, honestly. I want to finish a lot of UFOs. I love that, Rivka. Hey, Terry. Jan says you got it, Carolyn. I got one many years ago and took HollyAnne's FFQ. Yes, Jan, you've crushed your UFOs these last few years. I remember you emailing me and being like, I have so many, I'm drowning, I'm never going to catch up. And then you just started one quilt top at a time. What is it caught on something? What is happening? Why aren't you moving? Let's try again. But Jan, you've just been like chugging away. Oh, it's just thick. It just needed a little encouragement. I was like, I don't know what's going on over here. Hey, Rianne! Honestly, I have quite a few UFOs that I probably need to finish up as well. I'm gonna figure out ways to work those into the blogs. Oh, that's one of my big goals for String and Story this year. I shared this yesterday. Oh, and this will lead us into the overview of the caption. Because I want to make sure that I do walk y'all through that. But one of my big goals this year is to get back to blogging weekly. So some of y'all will remember that I used to be super faithful about blogging every single week. And that has definitely faded over the last couple of years. 2021, 2022, it just became more erratic. And I really want to get back to blogging weekly because while I love and will continue to create more and more paid education, I know that's not accessible to everyone. And it takes time to create those courses. So it's much easier to create little bite-sized bits of education and have those out on the blog. And I just think that because String and Story is an education-first company, that's an important part of our values to be doing that. Where's 12? There's 12. I was like, where in the heckity heck? Here we are. Okay. It's an important part of our values to be creating education like that. So yesterday, this leads me down into the caption of this video. You're going to find a bunch of links because I started yesterday. So link number one that you're going to find in there is a link to this block of the month. It is also a thread subscription. The patterns are not available separate from the thread subscription. I've been getting a lot of emails about that. It's a pattern licensing thing. It's part of the agreement with the designer. So all the information for the endangered species block of the month and subscription is there at that first link. Oops. See what happened here? Y'all cannot see that. It folded over on itself when I sewed it. So we got to pick back. That's one of those things that you've got to be mindful of with foundation paper piecing, is that it doesn't do that. The second link that you're going to find in there, let me make sure that I am saying the right link. Which one? What did I put second? Hold please. It's going to come to my brain. Bandcamp. I put the Bandcamp replay because if you are looking at this and you're going, that looks fun, but I'm not actually like super confident in my foundation paper piecing skills. How can I learn and get better? I created a 2-hour masterclass. Was that last week or the week before? I think it was last week. Called Bandcamp, Intro to Foundation Paper Piecing. And I taught you 3 different blocks. Well, I taught the first 2 and I started demonstrating this one. And it comes with this awesome free workbook. Like it's a really great opportunity to get some good foundation paper piecing education, a good overview. So that's the second link. The third link is the blog. The other question I've been getting a lot is English paper piecing versus foundation paper piecing, and like how are they similar and how are they different? So I wrote it up in a blog yesterday to give you a good overview of that. So lots of resources waiting for you in the caption, should any of those strike your fancy. Let's see. Yes, Jan. Oh, I loved having you in FMQA, Jan, and I love that you're still around. So Rianne says my to-do list is 27 quilts long. Hope to knock out 2 this year. Oh my goodness, I love it. Jan says if you're thinking of free motion quilting, I highly suggest HollyAnne. If I can do it, anyone can. It does take practice and you'll get better, and doodling is key. Yes, agree. And Rivka, yes, I do teach quilting with rulers. That class just kicked off. Our founding cohort just kicked off. We plan to enroll that course again in March. So if you head to stringandstory.com and click that digital education button at the top of the screen, it'll pop down and you'll see Ruler Quilting Academy. And you can click that and get on the wait list because that'll be coming back in March 12, 13. Yeah, and I'd love to have you. That would be fantastic. All right, I'm being aware of my time. I've got a hard stop at 11:30 today because Amy and I have to hang quilts on the walls before we open at noon. Valerie says, best part of the holidays was a trip to Arizona to visit friends. Hubby went to the big Michigan game. My goal is to not buy any more projects until I finish what I have. That's a hard goal, Valerie. That's a hard goal. But I definitely admire the finishing. We have a finishing event planned for the spring as well. So for those of you that have that as a goal and you're worried that everything at String and Story this year is going to be about starting new stuff, we thought of y'all in our annual planning. Don't you worry. It's not quite as involved as summer stash busting has been in the past, but we do have an event planned. Jan says, I'm like a bad check. I keep bouncing back. I love that, Jan. Please keep doing that. I stay in the free motion quilting group and learn something all the time. I love that. That's what that group is for. It is for continued learning and support of one another. That was a little closer to my fingers than I would have really liked it to have been, but we're okay. Need to pay careful attention when I'm cutting. I wonder if I'm going to regret using yellow thread. There's a few places where I can see my stitches just a little bit. Too late now. Oh, well. You can kind of start to see his little eye. It's starting to take shape. These pieces are no longer, minuscule either. Let's see. When is the next free motion quilting class? The next free motion quilting academy will be in August. So that one's a long wait. That's why we did that final push in December for that. And so that'll be in August. However, Intro to Free Motion Quilting, it is a mini version. So it only teaches 4 motifs instead of 30. That is available on demand on my website. So if you're waiting on FMQA, it's a long wait right now. So I would recommend getting intro and getting started, and then you'll kind of be ahead of the game a little bit for Free Motion Quilting Academy. Susan said, I started my penguin yesterday. Whoo, I'm going to need more practice. Yeah, this one, starting with the eye is hard. I think I would look, and I did this some when I was piecing these before. I would look ahead and, and maybe not start with piece A because it's so fiddly. Start with one of the pieces that has bigger chunks to it. Yeah. And then once you get the hang of this, I'm kind of still getting back in my groove, and I'm multitasking by talking and sewing at the same time, so I don't necessarily need to add any more chaos. But I would actually get 2 pieces going at once, and I would switch back and forth. So the way I have to like cut my thread between every single one right now, instead of doing that, I would just feed another piece underneath. And there still would be threads to trim because you're like sewing in the middle of the piece, but it helps a little bit. So just some suggestions. Jen says, how is Marcy? Marcy is great. Marcy will be here tomorrow. Marcy was a whole champ, and she was here on Tuesday. I had initially told her just to take Tuesday off because I knew I wasn't going to be here. And then I had to go back to her with my tail between my legs and be like, I'm sorry. I really need you to come in and ship orders because I need stuff to go out the door. And she's like, absolutely. So I left it all for her, left a list. And she came in and shipped a bunch of stuff while I finished up Christmas break with the kiddos. And she'll help me do a bunch more tomorrow. The other thing that she'll help me do, I don't know if we'll get to it tomorrow or if it'll be next week, but we bought more cutting tables for the shop, which is really exciting. And so then we'll be able to cut things a little bit more efficiently as well. Yes, let's see. Yes, Jan Second's trying the mini course. The mini course is only $35 too, and it's like a perfect like weekend activity. So I highly recommend Intro to FMQ. Here, I'll grab a link for y'all because I didn't put that in the caption, and I should have. That would have been another really good thing for me to drop in there. Hello in New Mexico, Lynn. Debbie says, can I do quilting with rulers before I've completed FMQA? You can. Also, the Ruler Quilting Academy, when it enrolls in March, will be right after this cohort completes. Are you in FMQA already, or are you still waiting to enroll? You may have just asked me this question about when is the next FMQ class. Okay, yes. What I would probably recommend, Debbie, I would probably wait and do Free Motion Quilting Academy first and then do Ruler Quilting Academy. If I'm just really honest about it, that you might feel differently after doing intro. But so I'm a big fan of viewing learning new skills, kind of the way that we balance equations, right? That you want to do just one thing at a time. So when I'm teaching free motion quilting, I always have my students start by drawing. You have to learn how the motif is shaped and how it fills up space. Then we quilt it. We quilt with practice sandwiches. So you're just filling up empty space with it. Then you start to work on projects, right? And then you layer, again, layering the ruler work adds another thing if you're also now controlling a ruler, right? So because those skills kind of layer up, if you do intro and you really master those 4 motifs, you would be fine to go ahead and do Ruler Quilting Academy before you do FMQA. And that would be really, really cool because by the end of this year, then you would have just an incredible toolbox of ways to quilt your quilt. Ruler quilting and free motion quilting often pair together as well. So that was something we were talking about in Ruler Quilting Academy yesterday, is that part of my resistance for so long to teaching ruler work is really having to work myself on understanding how it fits into the quilting plan process. So kind of a circular, okay, you've been in Free Motion Quilting Academy, you've just not completed. Perfect. Okay, so the new cohort just kicked off, Debbie. So jump back in that Facebook group and go ahead and go through Free Motion Quilting Academy. Even if you don't graduate with this cohort, like get further into the course. Graduation for that will also be in March. So you could technically go ahead and knock it out and then jump straight into Ruler Quilting Academy. Great. I'm glad you clarified. Thank you. So yeah, there's my very kind of long-winded and rambly thoughts on the topic for what it's worth. But I like to recommend at least a working knowledge of free motion quilting before tackling rulers. Exactly, Jan. You don't want to accidentally overwhelm yourself. But yeah, your timing is perfect for asking about that. Susan, did I see you say that you're going to go back to band camp and watch it again? Yes, go back and rewatch. Jackie says, when doing foundation paper piecing and doing the same block over and over, is there a way to save paper and reuse the printed patterns? Is stitching through the paper easier? So you do stitch on the paper side. You cannot reuse the paper, unfortunately. That was one of the things, as I was kind of writing up the comparison of EPP and FPP. English paper piecing, you can reuse your papers. You cannot with foundation paper piecing. Yep. Let's see. Yeah, someone says, I agree. If you do intro, you could do ruler work too. Yes, and use them both together. Exactly. And band camp is your plan for this afternoon. I love that, Susan. I love it. 16, where's 17? That was 12. There's 17. It's that little black bit right there. All right, this is probably gonna be my last piece. If you have questions about foundation paper piecing, this would be a great moment to ask them. Amy will be here any minute, and then I will have to jump. So I didn't quite get this piece finished, but I've come very, very close. And I love, we got to hang out for a bit. Do I pre-cut my fabric to the size for the penguins? No, I don't. Sorry, the no came out very aggressively. I don't mean that in an aggressive way. I'm just not that patient. I know folks who do that they like pre-cut everything into the right like shape and bit and everything. And I am not that person. I'm not that person. I don't like pre-cutting. That's part of what I'm realizing I love about foundation paper piecing versus traditional piecing. Marie said, I gave my great niece's quilts for Christmas. The 10-year-old noticed a different motif I quilted in her quilt. I was shocked and pleased. I love that, Marie. Kids don't miss anything. They're so cool. So cool. All right, my dear rock stars, one more quick rundown through the caption of this video. You will find a link to this block of the month. We would love to have you. We still have plenty of room. Lynn, I'm glad that you and I agree on how we don't want to pre-cut. That makes me really happy. We still have plenty of room in the block of the month, and we would love to have you. Below that, you'll have a link to the band camp replay. If the thing making you nervous about joining us is needing to brush up on your foundation paper piecing skills, or perhaps develop foundation paper piecing skills for the very first time, I've already created that education for you. Below that, you will find our new blog all about English paper piecing versus foundation paper piecing. And then finally, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you back here next week at 11. And honestly, we'll probably still be working on this penguin. So I'll see you then. Bye, y'all.